What if your greatest potential is already trying to help you? What if the version of you that already sees more clearly, decides with confidence, and moves through life with less resistance is not somewhere in the future, but already interacting with you right now? This idea immediately challenges the way most people think about growth. We're taught that improvement comes from effort, accumulation, and control. But what if many of the moments when life felt stuck, confusing, or delayed were not caused by lack of ability, but by ignoring subtle guidance that was already present? From the perspective of probability and consciousness, the future is not a single destination waiting to arrive. It exists as a range of potential configurations, versions of you that are more coherent, more aligned, more capable of navigating complexity. The quantum double represents one of these configurations, not a mystical entity, not a separate being, but a more organized version of your own system. When people say, "I don't know why, but something told me not to go that way," or "I can't explain it, but this feels right," they are often describing moments when that configuration briefly influenced perception. The problem is not that this influence is rare. The problem is that most people are trained to override it. Emotional urgency, mental noise, and constant pressure to decide quickly drown out subtle signals. The mind takes over, demanding guarantees, proof, and certainty before acting. But guidance does not arrive as a loud command. It arrives as clarity without panic, as calm direction without explanation. When that signal is ignored repeatedly, life starts to feel heavier, decisions feel harder, opportunities seem to disappear, not because they are gone, but because the channel is blocked. This episode exists to reframe something essential. Your greatest potential is not waiting for you to become someone else. It is already attempting to assist, adjust, and guide your choices from within the field of possibilities. The real question is not how do I access more power, but in what ways am I interfering with what is already trying to help me? And once you ask that honestly, a much deeper understanding begins to unfold. Decisions, when the quantum double adjusts your yes and no. Most people believe decisions are made through logic, analysis, and willpower. In practice, decisions are responses to internal states. When someone is anxious, rushed, or emotionally compressed, their yes is often a reaction, not a choice. The quantum double does not override free will. It influences the quality of perception from which decisions arise. A coherent state produces clarity. A dysregulated state produces urgency. This is why timing feels different depending on your internal organization. You may receive the same option on 2 different days and feel completely different about it. One day it feels wrong, heavy, or confusing. Another day it feels obvious. The situation didn't change. You did. The quantum double operates precisely in this space. It subtly adjusts perception so that the aligned option feels calm, while the misaligned option feels noisy or forced. An anxious decision often carries a sense of pressure. I need to decide now. What if I miss this? A coherent decision, in contrast, feels quiet. There is no adrenaline attached to it. This doesn't mean it's easy. It means it's clean. People often confuse excitement with alignment and fear with intuition. The quantum double communicates through the absence of internal friction, not through emotional spikes. When this distinction becomes clear, a powerful shift happens. You stop asking, "What should I choose?" and start noticing, "From which state am I choosing?" That single adjustment changes the quality of decisions across work, relationships, and life direction. And if decisions are affected this way, how does that show up outside your mind? Opportunities. The field responds to coherence, not requests. Opportunities are often described as things you attract, as if the universe were responding to verbal or mental requests. In reality, opportunities are revealed, not delivered. The field of possibilities is always present, but only certain options become visible depending on your internal coherence. The quantum double acts as a filter, not a miracle generator. 2 people can walk into the same environment and experience completely different realities. One notices connections, ideas, and openings. The other sees obstacles, delays, and limitations. This isn't luck. It's state-dependent perception. When your internal system is coherent, attention organizes itself differently. You notice what was always there but previously invisible. This explains why forcing, chasing, or asking repeatedly often produces frustration. Requests made from contraction signal lack, urgency, or fear, states that narrow perception. Coherence expands perception. When the internal system stabilizes, opportunities don't feel dramatic. They feel timely. They appear without struggle, often through simple conversations, small invitations, or unexpected but natural openings. The quantum double doesn't create opportunities out of thin air. It aligns you with versions of reality where certain doors are already open. When people say, "Things just started to line up," they're often describing a shift in internal organization that allowed a different probability path to become accessible. And sometimes, that alignment shows up as encounters that change everything. Encounters and synchronicities. When the field organizes connections, some meetings feel random, others feel oddly precise. You meet someone at exactly the right moment, in an unexpected place, and the interaction alters a trajectory, a job, a relationship, an idea. These moments are often labeled as coincidence, but from a probabilistic perspective, they are aligned intersections of paths. The quantum double influences these intersections not by manipulating people, but by subtly adjusting your movement through space and time. A delay here, a change of route there, an impulse to attend something you normally wouldn't. None of these actions feel extraordinary on their own, but together, they reposition you within the field so that trajectories intersect. Importantly, this isn't mystical orchestration. It's systemic alignment. When your internal state shifts, your patterns of action shift with it. You show up differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. And because reality is relational, those micro changes reorganize who you meet and when. Most people dismiss these moments because they don't fit linear logic. But when observed carefully, they reveal structure. They happen more often when there is less forcing and more presence, less overthinking and more coherence. And if this applies to encounters, does it also apply to creativity and problem solving? Creativity and solutions, when answers appear out of nowhere. Have you ever struggled with a problem for hours, only to have the solution appear while showering, walking, or doing something completely unrelated? This experience is so common that people joke about it, but it reveals something precise about how cognition actually works. Creativity does not emerge from effort alone. It emerges when the system exits linear pressure and enters a more coherent, non-demanding state. In moments of relaxation, the mind releases its grip on control. Attention widens, the nervous system shifts out of urgency. This is exactly when non-linear processing becomes available. The quantum double operates in this space, not by sending ideas, but by allowing access to configurations where information can reorganize itself without force. The answer was not created in that moment. It became available. This is why forcing creativity often fails. When effort becomes strain, perception narrows. You try to solve the problem from the same internal configuration that created it. Stepping away isn't avoidance. It's a state change. When coherence increases, different probability paths become readable. What felt blocked suddenly feels obvious. Understanding this removes self-blame. It's not that you lack intelligence or discipline. It's that insight requires a system that is not compressed. So, if solutions depend on state, why doesn't this happen all the time? The core block: emotional and mental interference. The main obstacle to accessing guidance from the quantum double is not ignorance or lack of practice. It is interference. Anxiety, urgency, and fear compress perception. They create internal noise that distorts subtle signals. The system becomes focused on immediate threat management rather than pattern recognition. The quantum double does not compete with noise. It doesn't shout over fear or argue with urgency. When the internal environment is chaotic, the signal simply becomes unreadable. This is why trying harder often produces less clarity. Control increases tension, and tension narrows awareness. The more someone demands certainty, the less access they have to non-linear information. Emotionally, this is where people misinterpret the experience. They believe something is not working, when in reality the channel is flooded. The issue isn't absence of guidance, it's excess of interference. When the system settles, even slightly, perception changes almost immediately. If you've experienced moments of sudden clarity after calming down, that's not coincidence. That's regulation restoring access. What do you notice creates the most noise for you? Urgency, fear, overthinking, or the need for control? Share in the comments. So what are the most common ways we block ourselves without realizing it? Invisible sabotage. Habits that misalign the channel. Most blockage is not dramatic. It's habitual. A constantly accelerated routine. Endless stimulation. Decisions made reactively instead of coherently. Over time, this trains the system to stay in survival mode. When survival becomes identity, subtle perception fades. The quantum double doesn't disappear. It gets drowned out. Another common sabotage is identifying with pressure, believing that being busy, stressed, or rushed is simply who you are. This identity creates a loop. The system never slows enough to receive information outside linear thinking. Life feels like constant effort, and insight feels rare or random. The cost of this pattern is invisible, but significant. Creativity drops. Timing feels off. Decisions feel heavy. People assume this is normal adulthood. It's not. It's a conditioned state. And conditioned states can be adjusted without changing your entire life. The key is not withdrawal or isolation. It's micro-regulation, small pauses, fewer reactive choices, slightly more presence. When interference drops, access returns. If this is helping you see your patterns more clearly, like the video and subscribe to the channel. That commitment isn't for the algorithm. It's a signal to yourself that you're ready to stop blocking what's already trying to help you. And if removing interference is possible, how do you do it without meditation marathons or drastic changes? Practical adjustment. Stop blocking without mystical techniques. The most effective adjustment is also the simplest. Regulate your state before seeking answers. Most people do the opposite. They ask questions while anxious, rushed, or emotionally compressed, then wonder why clarity doesn't arrive. The quantum double responds to coherence, not demand. When the internal system is unsettled, perception narrows, and guidance becomes unreadable. Presence is the gateway, not as a philosophy, but as a physiological shift. A slower breath, a brief pause before reacting, a moment of awareness in the body. These are not spiritual rituals. They are state regulators. When the nervous system settles, attention widens. The signal doesn't need to be chased. It becomes available. Micro-adjustments matter more than big practices. A 20-second pause before a decision, a conscious exhale when urgency rises, choosing to wait a few minutes before responding. These small acts reduce interference. Over time, the channel stays cleaner, not because you do more, but because you interrupt less. This reframes effort entirely. Access improves not through intensity, but through consistency. So how do you know when the access is actually working? Signs of alignment. When the quantum double starts to respond. The first sign is fluidity. Things don't become perfect, but they move with less resistance. Decisions feel simpler. Conversations unfold more naturally. You notice fewer internal debates and more quiet certainty. This doesn't feel euphoric. It feels stable. Another sign is clarity without urgency. You know what to do, but you don't feel pressured to do it immediately. Timing becomes obvious. The need to force disappears. This is important because many people confuse alignment with excitement. In reality, alignment often feels calm and grounded. Then something subtle happens. Reality starts to talk back, not with signs and symbols, but with feedback. A message arrives at the right time. A delay prevents a mistake. A small coincidence saves effort. These aren't miracles, they're responses to coherence. But there's something important to understand. Life always tests alignment. The real test. When the field checks if you trust. Alignment doesn't remove challenges, it changes their purpose. Often, after clarity appears, a delay follows, or an obstacle. This is not punishment, it's a consistency check. The field observes whether you remain coherent or revert to urgency, fear, and control. Many people close the channel right here. The moment friction appears, they assume something went wrong and return to old patterns. Overthinking resumes. Forcing returns. The signal fades, not because access was lost, but because interference came back online. The quantum double's role is not to rescue you from difficulty. It functions as a co-pilot, not a savior. It informs timing, direction, and perception. You still act. You still choose. When trust replaces control, the partnership works. When control dominates, access diminishes. If this perspective is helping you navigate decisions with more clarity, like the video and subscribe to the channel. That action isn't about growth metrics. It's a signal of readiness to work with reality instead of fighting it. So if the double isn't a savior, what exactly is its true role? The quantum double as co-pilot, not savior. One of the most important clarifications in this series is this. The quantum double is not here to save you. It does not take control of your life, make decisions for you, or remove responsibility. Treating it as a savior is one of the fastest ways to fall back into fantasy and dependency. The double does not replace choice. It informs choice. Think of it as a co-pilot. It reads conditions, timing, and alignment more clearly. But you are still flying the plane. When people expect the double to fix everything, they often stop paying attention, stop choosing consciously, and wait passively. That's when access weakens. Coherence requires participation, not surrender of agency. This partnership only works when perception and action move together. The double offers clarity, not guarantees. You still take steps. You still face uncertainty. The difference is that actions taken from coherence feel cleaner, less reactive, and more precise. Responsibility doesn't disappear. It becomes lighter because you're no longer fighting yourself internally. When this relationship is understood correctly, something shifts. You stop searching for signs to obey and start developing perception to collaborate. What changes for you when you stop waiting to be saved and start seeing guidance as partnership? Share your thoughts in the comments. And when this clicks, what actually changes in daily life? Stop blocking is stop fighting. The quantum double does not require effort, it requires coherence. The more you try to force outcomes, control timing, or demand certainty, the more interference you create. Clarity emerges not when you push harder, but when you stop compressing your own system with urgency and fear. This is the quiet truth behind everything we explored. Access improves as interference drops. Fewer internal battles. Less mental noise. More presence. When you stop fighting reality, perception reorganizes. Decisions feel clearer. Opportunities feel more natural. Life doesn't become effortless. It becomes less resistant. Blocking often looks like productivity, overthinking, or constant correction. Removing blockage looks like trust, regulation, and attention. Not blind trust, embodied trust. The kind that stays grounded even when the field tests you. Because tests don't mean misalignment, they mean observation. In the next episode of this series, we'll go deeper into the most common reason access never stabilizes. Why most people never access the quantum double. If this episode helped you see your own patterns with more clarity, like the video and subscribe to the channel. That action isn't about the platform. It's a commitment to stop fighting what's already trying to work with you.